All right, it's a great day to be outdoors, and I haven't done a whole lot since the election as far as the YouTube channel is concerned, and just done a few things, but I've really been just taking it easy. I even went a couple of days without carrying a pistol just because of the what seemed like the pressure lifting off the gun community. And but of course you've got to have your personal protection, so I normally carry on a regular basis, but I'm just trying to make the point that I felt and have felt real good since the election, at least about the Second Amendment. I don't talk too much about politics, but I'll be happy if we don't ever hear anything else from Clintons, Obamas, or Bushes. And I know a lot of people like George Bush, but the Patriot Act really turns me off to George Bush. I don't care, too much about politicians anyway. But at any rate, time to get things fired up back here, and I don't know if I'll do anything else besides this until after the new year. But I do want to say Merry Christmas to the people that watch the channel and whoever might run across this. And I'm going to sit down and look at a few things today, just a little odds and ends, and talk about some things I think will be of interest to you. It's a pretty day out here. I think I hear one of my dogs coming through the woods. I hope it's mine anyway. But we'll talk to you about a few things about loading magazines today. Raider. What are you doing out here? I had to take the dog back home. I don't usually let him come out with me over here. About a half mile from the house, he tracked me down, that sucker. All right, let's sit down here and talk about loading magazines. I want to have just a little discussion today, and I'm pretty much set on the way I load my Glock magazine for my Glock 23, my 40 caliber. I haven't yet started loading my 45 this way yet because I haven't bought all the ammunition that I need to do it. And I'm not talking about range applications here or training or anything like that. I'm talking about 6 magazines that I carry in my plate carrier, leaving my plate carrier. I used to have them all loaded with this 62 grain 5.56 millimeter armor piercing round. And I think probably everybody that watches the channel probably familiar with this. If not, green tip generally means that it's an armor piercing round. But I got to thinking about this thing, and really every round in the magazine being an armor piercing round, I thought maybe that was overdoing it a little bit. And they're not extremely more expensive than any other round, so it really wouldn't hurt anything, at least from my standpoint. But I thought, well, maybe there's some more applications that I need to consider. And after thinking about it a while, basically what I decided to do for my M4 was to take out half of the armor piercing rounds and replace them with a Federal jacketed hollow point 50 grain. And you can never have enough hollow points, no matter what caliber that you're firing. I know the military is always debating whether or not hollow points is the way to go. And I know NATO has its preferences and all kinds of stuff like that. But I think a hollow point round is a damage maker. And I think it's probably should be a priority to have, just like you would have an armor piercing. Somebody has a plate carrier on, a plate carrier that's actually has plates in it. A lot of people have plate carriers that don't have plates. I don't generally pull out my plate carrier. I've got one in case of emergencies. And one of these days might be called on to help out in the neighborhood, and I'll definitely want one then. I've got a little vest with some weights in it that I can put on to simulate the weight of carrying a plate carrier. And trust me, I've carried a plate carrier before. I know what it takes to sustain your energy with one of those on, but what I'm trying to say is I don't pull it out much, and so these rounds just packed in these magazines and stuffed in the front of that thing. And a lot of people that have plate carriers don't actually have plates in them. Now I've got plates in mine that will withstand quite a wallop. They'll take a punch. Of course, you get. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you may have to shoot at somebody, God forbid, and in America, the likelihood is that you probably never will need a plate carrier or an armor-piercing round. And but the case may arise, and so I like to be prepared for that stuff. So I keep armor-piercing, and so I've staggered 1 round armor-piercing, 1 round hollow point for my offensive, defensive preparations. And so that's about the size of that. And I like to take a little piece of the cardboard box that the rounds come in and push it down in here just to keep a reminder of what I had put in there. The Federal jacketed hollow point's not that hard to remember, but as far as any other rounds go, I might have PMC, I might have American Eagle, might have Federal, I might have that Sierra that I use from time to time at the range in the M4 and the 308. So when I store magazines like that, I like to just tear off a piece of the box, and that has the pertinent information, and just stick it in the top there. Now my Glock 40 caliber, now this is a more diverse load, and the other one just have 1 armor piercing, 1 hollow point, 1 armor piercing, 1 hollow point, all the way throughout the mag. Now this one is a little bit different. 40 caliber, I don't get uptight about this. If you don't do it, it's no big deal. I made this up in my head basically while I was bored and just thinking about some things. And trust me, if all I've got to shoot you with is a 22, and if you need shooting, break in the house or something like that, if I get my hands on a 22, I'll shoot you with a 22, and I'm not going to be worried about if my weapon has target rounds or hollow points or black talons or anything like that. I really don't care about that on a regular basis. This target round will kill you just as dead as the black talon will, and the black talon going to chew you up. There's no question about that. But chewed up or not chewed up, dead is dead. And so I don't put a lot of emphasis on that, because I'm not trying to sell rounds or anything like that. And a lot of stuff you hear from bullet manufacturers and stuff like that, sure, they've put the technology in, they've come up with all these different ideas, and all they're doing is reinventing the mousetrap. The mousetrap's going to kill the mouse, and the bullet's going to kill the person. And so I shoot you if I had to. I don't want to shoot nobody. Sometimes we get a little bit carried away with bravado, but if I had to shoot somebody, I'd shoot them with a 22. I'd shoot them with a 45, shoot them with a 40 caliber, shoot them with the 9mm. A lot of people get hung up on this idea about knockdown power and stuff like that. I ascribe more to the shot placement and stuff like that. And that brings up my first round in my Glock here. And it's just, you can see the first round is just a regular target range type round. And I got that loaded in there first because 9 times out of 10, if you were to pull your weapon and shoot at somebody, your first round going to miss. A lot of people think that the first round be the one to hit, and that is true in some cases, especially with the rifle. If you get an altercation with the rifle, your first 2 rounds likely to hit, whereas rounds that are loaded up later in your magazine, you may have a couple of misses later on. But at any rate, what I believe in a pistol round, I believe somebody pulls in anger pulls with adrenaline and the general excitement that comes even with throwing your fist at somebody. It's a whole lot of adrenaline involved. Pulling a pistol is generally what's going to happen with an untrained non-combatant. In other words, a civilian out on the streets, not likely to pull a AK-47 or an M4 or something like that. They generally have pistols, and people with that mindset are generally going to pull, and they're going to develop a high level of adrenaline, and the first round, I believe, is generally going to miss. The more you're trained, perhaps that's not true for you. You're highly trained, Navy SEAL or Marine Corps Recon, MARSOC, something like that. But I feel like I'm a fairly good shot with a pistol, and I feel like that there's a high probability that I would miss first round with the pistol. May or may not. But, so that's why I've got this one loaded first. It's a throwaway round. Now, pull my weapon and fire the first shot. I might miss, might not. Well, it's just a throwaway round. Next shot, I'm going to break through the armor protection if need be. And then the next round, some very aggressive hollow point here. I don't know if the camera is focusing on these things or not. But here's a very aggressive hollow point round. And if it hits a plate carrier, it's going to thud, and it's going to probably break ribs or something like that, and it's going to flatten out real good. And I've got that's number 3. Number 4 is the same round. Number 5 the same round. The rest of the magazine is regular old target rounds, and they'll kill you. And if they hit a plate carrier, they will cause a lot of trauma as well. Probably not as much as these other rounds, and you can put whatever grain and whatever kind of hollow point you want in it. Black talon, they don't make those, of course, anymore. I just use that as a flag. Most people know what I'm talking about there, that type of round. And they are making some pretty aggressive rounds like that this day and time. But at any rate, just a little idea that I had. Does it mean anything? Here comes the train. Does it mean anything? Probably not. Is it practical? Probably not. But when you sit around thinking about things, you come up with little ideas like that, and I thought I'd share it with you. All right, Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great one. Probably see you next year.